extraction stations.
Welcome. Hope you guys are doing good. This is going to be one of hopefully many guides that I do on maybe these different ship classes, things of that nature. I'm going to start it off by doing carriers because that is the class I know the best. I'm not saying I'm some god tier carrier player, but I know what I need to be doing to help my team win. So if you guys are struggling to pick up carrier, I highly recommend checking this video out. I'm going to be going over the ins and outs of it. Alright, so how do I know which line to choose? Well, what I normally tell people is to start the USN line because they're easier to play and learn. They have better dive bombers. The torps, they're not as good as the torps from the Japanese, but that's not your main offensive weapon. The fighters are great. They also have equipment for more plane health, which means more survivability, and the AA tends to be a little better than their counterparts. Alright, and then after you finish that line, I recommend going on to the Japanese carrier line once you have a better understanding. But honestly, you don't have to listen to me. But I will tell you, there is a steeper learning curve with the Japanese carriers. They have crap dive bombers, which that's not their weapon, so whatever. But the torp bombers, that's the bread and butter, alright? You always get 2 squadrons. You can make a 1 pass on a DD, wipe them out of the game, but it's a higher skill cap to do things like that. The fighters, they're okay. They don't really get special equipment, and the AA is not horrible. It's pretty good, but it's just not USN standards. The first thing I want to discuss in this guide is the positioning of your carrier. You're going to see in this screenshot, I have me positioned fairly aggressively. You don't need to be that aggressive. But also, the main thing is seeing the enemy carrier in the corner. That is a for sure sign of someone that doesn't know what they're doing, right? The closer you are to the battle, the quicker the planes are going to take and the more strikes you're going to get out. The further away, the longer that's going to take. I don't think I need to explain that anymore. Alright, scouting. You want to give an advance warning of what ships your team is going to face up their flanks. So I normally send 1 fighter up the middle, and then on kind of a diagonal left and right, I send 1 squadron each of dive bombers and torp bombers. Alright, the quicker my team has an advanced notice of where that DD is, the quicker they can plan for it. And if I can't kill the DD in 1 pass, then hopefully my team is competent enough to shoot at that DD, because normally the first team that gets the DDs down usually wins. Your priority targets are DDs. That's number 1. After that, you can go after either a battleship or cruiser, but priority is definitely DDs, because once they're down, your battleships and your cruisers can push up and be aggressive. So that's number 1. Even if you can't do enough damage to kill them outright, at least you'll be able to make them rethink their life choices, where they have to disengage and try to run away and heal up, or B, you spot them for your teammates, thus they shoot at them, hopefully killing them. So that's 2 ways you can be effective. The next thing we're going to talk about is baiting fighters. Alright, so basically the concept is you bait the enemy's fighters, drag them all the way to your friendly ships so that their AA and your fighters can take down those planes as quickly as possible with little damage to your own fighters. The way you actually perform this is, once your fighters get in proximity of the enemy fighters, they'll lock on and start trying to dogfight yours. But when you see them approaching, chasing your fighters, you recall, set the next waypoint to another ship or your own ship, and use their AA to help defeat the fighters. We discussed how to fighter bait. Now we're going to go over how to use those fighters to attack enemy planes like dive bombers and torpedo bombers. So right now, I'm continuously resetting the point of where I want these fighters to be so that they just continue chasing the dive bombers. So I'm continuously resetting. And the reason for that is you got to understand how fighters work. If you just set them and forget them, there's a proximity that they can chase to. So they'll chase a dive bomber, and then once they reach the absolute limit, they'll head back. And that's not an efficient way to utilize them. So that's why I continuously reset. One thing to add as well, there is a such thing as focusing on using your fighters too much. Alright, if it hampers you from doing damage to other ships, then you're gonna also hamper your team killing all these other ships and looking for these destroyers and things of that nature. One of the ways that you would like to get a little more damage is by fires and floods. So the thing you're going to need to do is bait out an enemy ship's damage control kit. So the way you do that, you got two ways of doing it. One, stagger your planes, and two, recall whatever you sent. So whether it be a bomber or a torp bomber. Once you see them use a kit, recall them until they're about 10 seconds out. So right now I have this Iowa who just is about to use a kit because he's about to get a flood. Alright, so as you see, I also have a dive bomber on the way that's 10 seconds out. It's close, I'm waiting. He uses the kit, I recall until they get about 10 seconds away. Once the 10-second mark hits, I send them back out in hopes that I'm gonna get a permanent fire, which I do. I get 2. So that's how you want to bait out these damage control kits so that you can use them to your advantage. While we're on the subject of recalling planes to bait out damage control, you can also recall those torp bombers so that they don't fly around in circles trying to make a drop. I don't know if you guys have experienced this at all, but it's quite frustrating. The easiest way by far is to hit recall and reset. It's going to be way faster than sitting there waiting. Alright, so here we are. I got the Shimakaze chasing me, and as you can see, I got my torp bombers going. So instead of continuously adjusting, I'm going to hit recall and reset, like so. And that allows me to reset it perfectly, so where I can get 4 hits, just completely demolishing this guy. And that is PigBay's guide to aircraft carriers. Alright, it's just a beginner's guide, so please remember that. Maybe in the future I'll do more in-depth guides, say of the Japanese carriers, maybe premium carriers, how to utilize them, how to stack torp bombers and things of that nature. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. You can go ahead and leave me a thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you just plain old hate carriers. I know a lot of people do. Alright, I hope you guys are having a good day. That's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Until next time.